The galaxy was vast, older than any human mind could imagine. Stars stretched in patterns that seemed eternal, and alien civilizations, many older than humanity, had carved their empires across the light years. Humans, still young compared to the cosmic giants, were considered unpredictable, stubborn, and dangerous. To the rulers of the High Council, humans were like a spark in dry grass capable of sudden, uncontrolled fire. It was this fear that decided humanity's fate. One by one, human colonies on the edge of known space were cut off. Entire fleets of human ships were ordered to leave their home systems and travel to the uncharted regions beyond the galaxy's main lanes. The Council claimed it was for their own safety. But every human knew it was exile. Captain Elias Thorne stood on the bridge of the starship Vanguard, watching the blue and green planet of Terra slip behind them. He felt a mixture of anger and pride. Anger at the Council for casting them out. Pride at the strength of his people. "This isn't the end," he said quietly, almost to himself. "It's the beginning." Around him, the crew moved with silent efficiency. Humans were adaptable. Their minds, sharp and creative, allowed them to survive in situations that would crush others. On this long voyage to the outer rim, every shipboard system had been tested and strengthened, and every crew member knew that survival depended on cooperation and clever thinking. The journey to exile was harsh. Supplies were limited, and the outer rim offered no comforts. Planets were often barren, with winds that could strip the paint off a ship, or storms that could destroy unprepared settlements. Yet humans endured. They used every tool, every scrap of technology they could find or invent, to carve out life from inhospitable worlds. On one planet, later named Nova Horizon, the settlers faced their first true test. The planet's surface was rocky, the atmosphere thin, and the sun cast a harsh orange light that made shadows stretch like fingers. Water was scarce, and food was even scarcer. Alien creatures, unlike anything humans had catalogued, roamed the deserts and forests, some curious, some dangerous. It was on Nova Horizon that young engineer Lyra Kane first showed her brilliance. With limited materials, she built water collectors that drew moisture from the air and soil, invented solar energy units to power shelters, and even created rudimentary defense drones to keep the more aggressive wildlife at bay. Humans had a saying, "Where there is a mind and a will, there is a way." Lyra embodied it. Meanwhile, Commander Jalen Voss, a tactician with sharp instincts, studied the planet and the few remaining alien signals that could be intercepted. He realized early that humans could not only survive, they could dominate even the harshest worlds if they planned carefully. His strategies combined patience with sudden, decisive action. Life on Nova Horizon was not easy. The first years were filled with struggle. Starvation threatened more than once, and storms destroyed early settlements. Yet humans refused to give up. Every challenge became a lesson. Every failure, a stepping stone. Children grew strong from the work of survival, learning not just science and engineering, but courage, problem-solving, and community. One night, under the orange sky, Captain Thorne gathered the colony leaders. Around a makeshift fire in a clearing outside the main settlement, he spoke. "We were exiled because they feared us," he said, "but exile does not mean weakness. It does not mean defeat. Out here, no council, no empire, no one can tell us what we can or cannot do. This is our chance. To survive, to thrive, to become something they never imagined." Applause and murmurs of agreement rippled through the crowd. Humans were nothing if not resilient. In that moment, the settlers understood that exile had given them freedom, the freedom to grow without limits. Over the next decades, humans spread across multiple planets in the rim. They built cities that clung to cliffs, settlements that floated on oceans, and domed habitats in deserts. Everywhere they went, humans left a mark, not just through technology, but through culture, art, and a spirit of exploration. Trade and communication between the settlements became vital. Messenger drones zipped through the skies, carrying news, supplies, and ideas. Humans learned to adapt alien technologies, often improving them in ways the original creators never imagined. A broken alien engine could become a faster, more efficient ship drive. A primitive communication device could evolve into a network linking multiple star systems. Every challenge became a new opportunity for invention, but the galaxy had not forgotten humanity. The High Council, watching from afar, saw the rapid growth and innovation with unease. They expected humans to struggle, to fail, to fade into obscurity on desolate worlds. Instead, humans flourished. Their fleets grew faster, their colonies stronger, their minds sharper. Alien observers who visited the Rim sometimes marveled, sometimes feared. Even among humans, there were those who doubted the future. Exile had hardened some into cynics, those who believed the galaxy had rejected humanity and would continue to do so. Yet every generation proved them wrong. Humans learned to farm in deserts using artificial soil and recycled water, to mine planets' cores for rare minerals, to build engines that could cross light years without the support of any empire. A major turning point came when a group of humans discovered an ancient alien ruin buried beneath the surface of a frozen world. The ruins contained technologies long forgotten by the galaxy's dominant species' power sources, energy manipulation devices, and even starship blueprints. Lyra Kane and her team studied the ruins for years, eventually combining their discoveries with human engineering to produce starships capable of surviving extreme environments and performing maneuvers that alien fleets deemed impossible. The discoveries marked the beginning of humanity's transformation from exiles to innovators. Humans learned not just to survive, but to push the boundaries of possibility. Each settlement became a hub of knowledge and progress, and the settlements themselves began communicating, sharing improvements, and training a new generation of engineers, scientists, and explorers. Captain Thorne, now older but still sharp-eyed, looked out at the Rim galaxy from the bridge of the Vanguard 2. He knew that the High Council's fear was justified. Humans had adapted to exile not merely by surviving, but by mastering the challenges of a harsh galaxy. "They sent us away to weaken us," he said to Jalen Voss, who stood beside him, "but they've done the opposite. We've become stronger than they ever imagined." Indeed, humans were no longer just survivors. They were a new force in the galaxy, unbound by old rules, unshaken by alien prejudices, and driven by the certainty that their spirit could overcome any obstacle. Every child born on Nova Horizon or the other Rim planets grew up learning that humans were not to be underestimated, that creativity and courage could turn exile into empire. The first part of humanity's story was ending. The exile had been painful, full of uncertainty and loss, but it had also forged something extraordinary. A new era was dawning, one where humans were no longer the weak and unpredictable race the galaxy had dismissed. They were learners, builders, and innovators, ready to step into a larger role in the galaxy not as subjects, but as equals, and perhaps one day, as leaders. And yet, as the suns set on Nova Horizon, the settlers knew that this was only the beginning. Beyond the Rim lay countless worlds, countless civilizations, and countless challenges, but humans had a secret strength that no alien empire could take away: their relentless will to adapt, survive, and excel. Exile had sparked the fire. The galaxy had underestimated humanity. But from the ashes of rejection, a new human story was being written, one of courage, innovation, and destiny. And soon, the galaxy would have to take notice. Decades had passed since humanity was exiled to the Outer Rim. The children born during the first harsh years had grown into strong, capable adults, and they carried with them a spirit that refused to bow to fear or oppression. The once fragile settlements had grown into thriving colonies, each unique, each shaped by the environment around it. Nova Horizon, the first successful settlement, now glimmered with domed cities that reflected the orange sunlight, while wind farms and water collectors hummed quietly, producing the resources needed for survival. Captain Elias Thorne, now an elder statesman and symbol of human resilience, looked proudly at the network of colonies that had sprung up across the Rim. From his vantage point on the Vanguard 2, he could see lights stretching across valleys and plateaus, where only rocks and dust had once been. "We are no longer the exiles," he said softly. "We are a people who shape the stars themselves." Humans had not waited for luck. They had learned to use the rim's harsh conditions to their advantage. Planetary storms were harvested for energy. Barren deserts were transformed into fertile zones with water recycling and hydroponics. Even the strange wildlife, once a threat, had been studied and integrated into food systems. The human ability to adapt, to observe and innovate, had become their greatest weapon. Among the rising leaders of humanity was Lyra Kane, now a master engineer and scientist. Her work with alien technology had revolutionized human capabilities. The starships she designed were capable of traveling faster, enduring harsher conditions, and performing maneuvers no alien fleet could match. She often spent hours teaching young engineers how to think beyond the instructions in their manuals, to see the potential hidden in every piece of metal, every spark of energy. "Humans do not just survive," she told a group of apprentices in the central workshop of Nova Horizon. "We take what exists and make it better. The galaxy may think we are weak, but weakness is only what others call inability. Our strength is in our minds, our hearts, and our hands." Commander Jalen Voss, still sharp and cunning, had built a strategic network linking every colony. Trade routes, supply chains, and communications were carefully mapped. Every settlement had both defensive and offensive capabilities. Not for conquest, but for survival. The Rim was still wild, unpredictable, and dangerous. And humanity had learned that caution, preparation, and intelligence were just as important as courage. It was Voss who first realized that the galaxy beyond the Rim was beginning to notice humans again. Alien scouts, curious and cautious, occasionally ventured into human-controlled space. They reported not broken, struggling colonies, but thriving worlds, organized fleets, and intelligent, adaptable people. Even minor alien civilizations began sending emissaries, some seeking trade, some seeking protection. Humans were careful. They did not rush into alliances, nor did they blindly trust alien promises. Instead, they built relationships slowly, learning languages, customs, and weaknesses. Through patience and observation, humanity began to expand its influence without forcing it. Trade flourished, new ideas were exchanged, and minor alliances began to take shape. One of the most remarkable examples of human ingenuity came from a small colony on Aurelia, a planet of constant volcanic activity. The settlers faced molten rivers, ash storms, and earthquakes. Yet Lyra Kane's team designed heat-resistant habitats and floating energy platforms that harvested volcanic energy. Food was grown in lava tube farms, and drones monitored the planet for shifts in tectonic activity. The colony became a marvel of adaptation. The story of Aurelia spread across human space, inspiring other colonies. Humans realized that the Rim was not a prison, it was a laboratory. Every harsh planet tested their abilities, and every success proved that humans could thrive where others would perish. While humans worked, the High Council of the Central Galaxy grew uneasy. Their predictions of humanity's failure had been wrong. What they expected to be a fading species had become organized, intelligent, and innovative. Whispered reports spoke of humans building starships capable of long-distance travel, weapon systems unmatched by anything on the Council's main worlds, and alliances with minor alien civilizations that had once been ignored. The turning point came when human scouts discovered the Valoran cluster, a group of uninhabited star systems rich with rare minerals and stable planets. The cluster was perfect for human expansion. Lyra Kane led the first exploration team, mapping planets, assessing resources, and planning settlements. Every discovery was cataloged, every risk calculated. Humans learned quickly how to exploit the cluster's resources. Mining drones extracted minerals safely. Habitats were built using modular designs that could survive the harshest conditions. New energy sources were harnessed, creating power systems stronger and cleaner than any alien technology in the region. With each new settlement, humanity's confidence grew. Children were trained from birth to understand not only science and engineering, but also leadership, ethics, and strategy. Education was considered sacred, for a clever mind could save a life, a colony, or even an entire planet. But humans did not rise only through intellect. Their culture, music, art, and festivals gave strength to communities and kept morale high even during the darkest times. Stories of survival, of ingenuity, of courage in the face of exile, were passed from one generation to the next, ensuring that no human would forget the lessons of the past. Amid this growth, a crisis emerged that would test humanity's unity. A violent solar storm erupted from a nearby star, sending radiation waves across several colonies. Communication was disrupted, habitats were damaged, and energy systems failed. Humans had faced challenges before, but this storm was unprecedented in scale. Lyra Kane, Jalen Voss, and other leaders coordinated a massive response. Drones were sent to repair damaged habitats. Emergency shelters were activated. Starships transported resources and personnel to the hardest-hit colonies. Humans worked around the clock, their resolve unbroken. In the end, not a single life was lost, a testament to their planning, adaptability, and courage. The storm also revealed an unexpected advantage. The human colony's independence and decentralized design meant that no single failure could collapse the network. Every settlement could operate on its own, yet communicate and cooperate when needed. Alien observers, who had secretly watched the response, were impressed, and even slightly fearful. Humanity had turned disaster into a demonstration of power. With the Valoran cluster secured and the solar storm behind them, humans began to think bigger. They realized that the Rim was no longer just a safe place to survive, it was a launching point. Trade routes could be extended, alliances expanded, and humans could gradually explore deeper into the galaxy. The key to this expansion was balance. Humans never sought unnecessary war or conquest. Their goal was survival, growth, and proving that they could thrive. But they also understood that strength required readiness. Every fleet, every settlement, every citizen, trained not only for life, but for defense, for strategy, and for leadership. By now, humans had earned respect across the Rim. Minor alien civilizations began sending emissaries not as conquerors, but as students and partners. They sought human engineering expertise, insight into human strategy, and guidance in managing their own colonies. Humanity, once underestimated, had become a beacon of innovation and leadership. One evening, Captain Thorne walked the halls of Nova Horizons' main city. Watching young children play with drones and holographic displays, he smiled as he overheard a child ask, "Can humans really go to the stars?" Another answered, "We don't just go. We explore. We build. We survive." Thorne realized that the fire of humanity had spread. The exiled generation had passed their courage and knowledge to the next. And this new generation would take them even farther. The Rim, once a prison, had become a proving ground. Lyra Kane joined him on the observation deck. "They think we are weak," she said. "They believe exile will make us vanish. But we have learned that every hardship, every challenge, only makes us stronger." "And soon," Thorne replied, "they will see that humans do not just survive. We rise. We adapt. We forge a future no one can ignore." And so, humanity rose from the Rim. From barren worlds and forgotten stars, they built thriving colonies. They learned, adapted, and innovated. They turned exile into opportunity and hardship into strength. With each passing year, their networks grew stronger, their fleets faster, their knowledge deeper. The galaxy, once dismissive, could no longer ignore them. Humans had transformed from a minor species into a force to be reckoned with, proving that intelligence, courage, and creativity could overcome even the harshest exile. The story of humanity's rise was just beginning. Beyond the Rim lay greater challenges, unknown civilizations, and conflicts that would test them further. But the people who had survived exile were ready. They had learned that no obstacle was too great, no environment too harsh, and no enemy too cunning. Humanity would not just survive, they would shape the galaxy in ways no one could foresee. From the Rim, humans were no longer just survivors. They were innovators, explorers, and leaders in the making. Their story was rising, like the twin suns over Nova Horizon, bright, unyielding, and unstoppable. The human colonies on the Rim had grown stronger than anyone could have imagined. What had begun as a scattered collection of settlements struggling to survive was now an organized network of thriving worlds. Humans had adapted to every challenge, learned from every failure, and turned the harsh edges of the galaxy into places of opportunity. But the time had come for humanity to think beyond survival. Commander Jalen Voss paced the bridge of the flagship Vanguard 3, his eyes scanning the stellar charts displayed on the holographic table. "We can no longer hide," he said to Captain Elias Thorne, who now served as the elder advisor to the colonies. "The rest of the galaxy believes we are still weak, scattered exiles. They are wrong. But if we want to secure our future, we must be ready for their response." Humans had built fleets unlike any others in the galaxy. Starships were designed not only for speed and endurance but for adaptability. Ships could traverse hostile environments, dodge hazards, and perform tactical maneuvers that older, slower fleets could not anticipate. Every ship carried a crew trained not only in combat but also in engineering, science, and diplomacy. A human fleet was not simply a weapon, it was a moving hub of intelligence and creativity. Lyra Kane had spearheaded the design of the fleet's engines and defense systems. "We do not need to fight to dominate," she said during a strategy meeting. "We need to survive, explore, and innovate. Our ships are tools of survival, yes, but they also show the galaxy that humans are not to be underestimated." The first challenge came sooner than expected. A coalition of alien worlds near the Outer Rim noticed the expansion of human colonies. They viewed the humans' success as a threat to their influence and sent a small armada to challenge humanity. The aliens assumed that the scattered human settlements could not withstand a coordinated attack. They were wrong. Voss and his fleet had anticipated such a move. They positioned smaller, more agile ships in strategic locations, while the larger vessels stayed hidden in asteroid fields, ready to strike. When the alien fleet arrived, humans used clever tactics, leveraging the terrain, unpredictable maneuvers, and superior technology to outwit their enemies. The battle was swift but decisive. The aliens, unprepared for the humans' strategy and innovation, were forced to retreat. The victory spread across the Rim, not as a warning of war, but as proof of human capability. Humans had shown that their strength was not measured in numbers alone, but in intelligence, cooperation, and adaptability. Meanwhile, human diplomats began reaching out to smaller alien civilizations that had once been ignored or oppressed. These worlds were impressed by humanity's ingenuity, fairness, and resilience. Humans offered trade, protection, and knowledge in exchange for cooperation and alliances. Slowly, humans began forming a network of loyal partners across the Rim. One such alliance was with the Trellix, a reptilian species with advanced technology but limited numbers. Humans helped the Trellix stabilize their energy grids and improve their starship designs. In return, the Trellix shared maps of nearby systems rich in rare minerals. Together, humans and their allies began building a stronger presence in the galaxy, combining resources, knowledge, and strategic intelligence. On the home front, colonies were thriving. Nova Horizon, Aurelia, and new settlements on planets like Vastara and Luminar had become centers of education, science, and culture. Humans emphasized the development of skills, ethics, and leadership in every citizen. Every child learned how to think critically, solve problems, and lead when needed. Education was considered as vital as survival itself. As humans expanded, they encountered new worlds untouched by any civilization. Some planets were hostile, storms of acid, oceans of fire, toxic atmospheres, but humans adapted. Habitats were built that floated, drilled, or hovered, depending on the planet's needs. Drones and automated systems harvested resources safely, while humans monitored, studied, and learned. Lyra Kane led an expedition to Solus Prime, a planet with immense volcanic activity and rich mineral deposits. Humans built energy refineries powered by volcanic heat, extracted minerals with automated drilling systems, and created protective cities that could withstand constant eruptions. Solus Prime became a model for colonizing extreme worlds, a testament to human determination and creativity. While humans focused on expansion and survival, they never lost sight of their values. Conquered civilizations were not enslaved, and planets were not pillaged. Humans offered assistance, shared knowledge, and promoted cooperation. They understood that strength paired with ethics would inspire loyalty, respect, and stability. However, not all aliens welcomed humanity. The High Council, the rulers who had exiled humans decades earlier, began to take notice. They sent envoys to observe the humans' growing power. Reports described advanced starships, thriving colonies, effective leadership, and alliances that strengthened human influence. Whispers of fear spread among council members they had underestimated humans, and now humanity was preparing to step onto the larger stage of the galaxy. Humans were aware of the council's scrutiny. Captain Thorne convened a meeting with Voss, Kane, and other leaders. "We do not seek war," he said, "but we must be ready. They may attempt to contain us, suppress us, or destroy what we have built. We cannot underestimate their response, but we also cannot let fear limit our progress." Voss nodded. "We will be ready. Every colony, every fleet, every citizen will be prepared for defense. And if the Council tries to challenge us directly, they will find that humanity is no longer just survivors. We are a force to be reckoned with." The humans' preparation extended beyond military might. They established communication networks linking every colony and fleet. They created research stations on resource-rich planets, training grounds for future leaders, and archives preserving knowledge for generations. Every step taken was calculated, ensuring that humanity's growth was sustainable and resilient. During this time, humans also made remarkable scientific discoveries. They studied alien technology, sometimes abandoned, sometimes hidden, and learned to improve upon it. Energy shields, propulsion systems, and resource extraction methods were refined to levels surpassing the original creators. Human innovation became the benchmark in the Rim, attracting allies and admiration. Lyra Kane led a team that discovered an ancient alien archive buried beneath the surface of Zythera, a planet long abandoned by its previous civilization. The archive contained advanced knowledge of energy manipulation and starship design. Kane and her team spent months decoding and integrating the discoveries. The result was a fleet capable of unprecedented speed, resilience, and strategic flexibility. Meanwhile, humans continued to expand the influence of their ethical and cultural philosophy. Education, leadership, and innovation became pillars of their society. Festivals celebrated discovery, courage, and unity. Art, music, and literature flourished. Children learned stories of the first exiles, the battles for survival, and the triumphs of ingenuity. They grew knowing that humanity's strength came not just from ships or weapons, but from minds, hearts, and courage. A pivotal moment came when the Council sent an envoy to Nova Horizon to assess humanity's capabilities firsthand. The alien representatives arrived, expecting scattered, disorganized settlements, struggling to survive in hostile environments. Instead, they found thriving cities, disciplined fleets, efficient trade networks, and confident leaders. The envoy reported back, surprised and wary. Humans were no longer weak. They had become a model of adaptability, intelligence, and ethical strength. Voss reflected on the situation. "The Council wanted to push us away, thinking they could contain or destroy us," he said, "but every challenge they sent only made us stronger. And now, they see a rising power they cannot ignore. It is time we take our next step." That next step was careful but deliberate. Humans began planning fleets for exploration and defense beyond the Rim. They trained leaders, diplomats, engineers, and strategists to operate independently or as part of a larger network. Colonies were fortified, supply lines secured, and alliances strengthened. Humanity's rise was not reckless, it was methodical, precise, and unstoppable. Lyra Kane often spoke to the next generation of engineers. You are the ones who will take humanity further than we have gone. Never forget the lessons of exile. Adapt, innovate, and always think ahead. The galaxy may underestimate us today, but tomorrow, they will know what humans can do. As the years passed, humanity became known as a civilization that could rise from any hardship. Exile had been transformed into opportunity. Hardship had been transformed into strength. Every planet colonized, every alliance formed, every discovery made was a step toward a future where humans would no longer be dismissed or underestimated. By the end of Part 3, humans had achieved something extraordinary. They were no longer exiles. They had fleets, colonies, alliances, and technologies that rivaled the galaxy's older powers. Yet they were still growing, still learning, and still preparing for the challenges that lay ahead. The galaxy had underestimated them, and it would soon see the full power of human ingenuity, courage, and ethics. From exile to empire, humanity's journey was far from over. But the foundations had been laid. The fire that had begun on the rim now burned brightly, signaling a new era for humans, one in which they would forge an empire beyond any rival. Humanity had grown far beyond what anyone in the galaxy had imagined. From scattered exiles on the rim, they had forged thriving colonies, built advanced fleets, and established alliances across star systems. Their technology, strategy, and creativity had turned every hardship into strength, and every challenge into opportunity. Yet, the galaxy was vast, and power always invited scrutiny. Captain Elias Thorne, now aged but still sharp-eyed, stood on the bridge of the flagship Vanguard IV, looking out at the stars. The lights of human colonies shimmered in the distance, connected by trade routes, communication networks, and fleets of exploration and defense. Humanity was no longer the species that others could dismiss. They were a force to be reckoned with. Commander Jalen Voss and Lyra Kane joined him. The Council is aware of us now, Voss said. They have spies, envoys, and scouts. They are measuring our strength. Some fear us. Others are curious. But we cannot wait for them to act. We must decide our own future. Lyra nodded. Our fleets are strong, our colonies secure, and our alliances loyal. But the next step is exploration and defense beyond the rim. The galaxy is bigger than we imagined, and there are dangers even the Council cannot see. The first move was the Consolidation Initiative. Human settlements across the rim and nearby clusters were linked under a central governance council, guided by principles of ethics, innovation, and fairness. Each colony retained its independence in daily life, but all shared resources, knowledge, and defense strategies. Humans had learned that unity, not domination, was the key to enduring strength. The initiative also involved fleets designed for rapid response. Starships could move from colony to colony within days, providing aid, protection, and intelligence. Fleets were not only weapons, they were laboratories, training grounds, and symbols of human ingenuity. The first real test came when a mysterious cosmic anomaly was detected near the Helion expanse, a cluster of systems that had been unexplored for centuries. Stars were flaring unpredictably, and strange energy waves disrupted communications and navigation. Alien civilizations had abandoned the region, calling it dangerous and cursed. Humans, curious and unafraid, prepared an expedition. Lyra Kane led the scientific team. Voss commanded the fleet, and Captain Thorne served as advisor and strategist. This is not just about discovery, Thorne said. It is about proving that humanity can face the unknown and adapt, no matter the challenge. As the human fleet entered the expanse, they encountered strange phenomena. Stars that pulsed with unknown energy, asteroids moving against gravitational rules, and faint signals that seemed alive. Many ships from older civilizations would have retreated in fear. Humans studied, adapted, and built solutions in real time. Shields were reinforced, navigation algorithms updated, and energy collected from the anomalies themselves to power ships and equipment. The anomaly proved to be more than a natural phenomenon. It was a test. A colossal, ancient alien intelligence, left dormant for millennia, observed the humans' every move. Its purpose was unknown, but its power was undeniable. It could manipulate energy, disrupt communication, and move objects across vast distances. The fleet was in danger, yet humans refused to panic. Lyra Kane devised a solution. Using energy patterns from the stars and the anomaly itself, the humans created a harmonic resonance that stabilized the area. Ships moved in perfect coordination, executing maneuvers that no alien intelligence had predicted. Slowly, the anomaly's effects were neutralized. Humans had survived not by brute force, but by creativity, analysis, and teamwork. The galaxy watched from afar. Reports of humanity's success spread quickly. Even the High Council could no longer ignore them. Humans had demonstrated that they were not only capable of surviving exile and hostile worlds, but also of mastering unknown cosmic challenges. Humanity's reputation shifted from curiosity to awe and, in some cases, fear. Back in human space, celebrations were held across colonies. The successful expedition had strengthened bonds between settlements and allies, showing that humans could lead not through domination, but through knowledge, courage, and innovation. Yet, humanity's rise did not stop at exploration. They began forming councils with alien allies, establishing trade networks, research hubs, and communication systems that spanned hundreds of light years. Minor civilizations were welcomed into a network of mutual respect and collaboration. Through diplomacy, humans gained information, resources, and loyalty without forcing conquest. Lyra Kane continued her work, advancing technology beyond what even older civilizations could imagine. Starships capable of near-instant travel, energy shields that could withstand stellar flares, and communication systems that could bypass cosmic interference were developed. Human ingenuity, applied with ethics and strategy, had become the standard across the galaxy. Commander Voss oversaw defense systems. Fleets were trained to operate independently or as part of coordinated strikes. Each ship carried crews educated in science, strategy, and diplomacy, capable of handling crises, negotiations, or exploration. Humans had learned that power without wisdom was dangerous, and wisdom without strength was useless. Captain Thorne reflected on the journey. From the exile at the Rim, humanity had risen to lead by example. They had turned hardship into opportunity, adversity into creativity, and exile into empire. No empire in the galaxy had ever demonstrated such combination of ethical leadership, innovation, and adaptability. The final stage of humanity's rise came when the High Council, fearing the humans' growing influence, attempted to impose restrictions on human expansion. Envoys delivered ultimatums, fleets watched human colonies warily, and spies observed every move. Humans, however, were prepared. They responded not with immediate aggression, but with demonstrations of capability and diplomacy. Voss led a demonstration fleet to the edge of the Council's space, performing maneuvers and showcasing technology that left even veteran alien admirals in awe. Messages were sent, emphasizing that humans sought cooperation, not war, but that they were fully capable of defending themselves and their allies. The Council hesitated. For the first time, they realized that humans were no longer just unpredictable exiles. They were a civilization capable of mastering technology, strategy, diplomacy, and ethics simultaneously. They could not be ignored, underestimated, or controlled. Humanity had become a power beyond rivalry. Human colonies continued to thrive, alliances grew stronger, and exploration never ceased. Humanity's story became legend. A species exiled, tested by adversity, and forged into an empire of innovation, courage, and ethics. From Nova Horizon to the distant reaches of the galaxy, humans were admired, respected, and in some cases, feared not because they conquered through force, but because they excelled through intelligence, adaptability, and moral strength. Captain Thorne, standing one final time on the observation deck of the Vanguard 4, looked at the horizon. Countless stars stretched beyond sight, each a potential world, each a potential story. "We were exiled," he said softly to Voss and Kane. "But now, the galaxy knows the truth. Humans are unstoppable when they believe in themselves. We do not just survive. We rise. We explore. We lead." Lyra Kane smiled. "And we will continue to rise. Every planet, every star, every challenge, it is ours to meet. Our future is limitless, because our strength comes not just from what we build, but from who we are." Commander Voss nodded. "Let them watch. Let them wonder. Humanity will continue to grow, to innovate, to explore, and to inspire. We are no longer exiles. We are architects of the galaxy." And so, humanity stood at the pinnacle of its rise. From exile to empire, from scattered settlements to interstellar alliances, they had proven that intelligence, courage, adaptability, and ethics could overcome even the harshest trials. No rival, no empire, no ancient intelligence could stop them, not because humans were strongest in weapons, but because they were strongest in mind, spirit, and unity. The galaxy had underestimated humanity for centuries. The exiles had become masters of innovation and strategy, protectors of allies, and explorers of the unknown. Every star they reached, every challenge they overcame, reinforced the truth. Humans were a civilization beyond any rival, a light that would shine across the galaxy for generations to come. And as the stars stretched endlessly before them, humans knew one thing above all: the future was theirs to shape, and no force in the galaxy could ever take that away.